Then it led it to, okay, the reason I'm doing this video is because there is an energy push for us twin flames, and I don't know if it's just divine feminine. It's happening to me. I know that it must be affecting him because it is incredibly directive. It has been coming in for the last, I'd say, 2 months, and coming up and building in intensity, force, and direction. You know, when they herd cattle, catch wild horses and such, they have it where they have a broad area and then fence lines, and they tunnel the horses into like a trough tunnel that takes them into a paddock. Well, this is what this energy has been doing in my life, and I've been catching whiffs of it in other places. It has been coming on and gaining in intensity and directing me through this troughs of challenges that it took a little bit for challenge after challenge after challenge after challenge to finally, for me to see the pattern was always the same. Every challenge held the same theme to it. And once I saw the pattern, that was around the 3rd week of my trip, I started to see the pattern, and I thought, okay, it's a pattern. It's me, and it's for me, and I'm learning from it, but I'm done with this part of it. And I came home thinking I would have some peace because my home is my sanctuary and I have everything in its place and I love my life. But my life had surprises and challenges waiting for me when I got home. And I will go into the story because I have no fear in telling my story that is in this final push, because I know none of you know anybody in my life. You're not going to come here and gossip and tell anybody. And you can learn from this because it's not about the story. It's what the players in the game are representing that are pushing us to what we carry as the twin flames and what we've gone through our journey and purging and healing and whatever buzzword you want to use for it. We are transforming an energy package that has been held by society and humanity for so long. And it encompasses so many levels and layers of fear and self-worth and the silence of carrying all of those things within you. And this is what we're being pushed to step out of. I thought I had before the trip, but I found that I was dipping my toe back into things because I had so many challenges that it was like I was juggling a shitload of them in the air at all times. And I was overwhelming. I didn't have anybody to talk to about it. I was in another country. I couldn't be contacted. And I didn't have anybody here that I would talk to about it anyway. These things, when it comes up in your twin flame journey, who do we have to reach out to? You. All we have is each other. We are our backbones. We are our people. All the way through this bloody journey, and from the start, I've heard nothing but the spiritual videos on find your people, get away from the toxic people, find your people. And I kept looking around and going, well, where the hell are they? Because they're not in my real world. Well, they have been always with me in this world that we share here. And there are certain people that do have videos online that are our people, because if we're magnetized to come back to a certain person who talks, whose words fall on our ears properly at that point in our journey, that's one of our people. That wasn't part of my video originally, but that is. And I had no one to discuss this with when I was away. I was in Vietnam all by myself, renting motorcycles. I was way out the backwoods of roads, bumping through 6-inch potholes, and I was chewing on something that was just eating me alive. It didn't stay at home. It came with me on the trip. And it was a consequence of the many challenges that happened while I was in Vietnam, which I've been on 5 trips there, and they've all been beautiful. This one was completely different than any of the others. And every challenge had the same theme. And what was coming up was I was being mistreated in some pretty horrific ways. And I had to advocate for myself, even though it made me extremely uncomfortable, and I didn't want to do it. In fact, my head was so confused, like, why am I back here again? Why is it people keep showing up to do this? It was when I started asking those questions that I started to think, people are showing up in your life to do these ways of behavior for you to learn how to navigate that behavior. I hadn't been treated like that for a long time because I had gotten onto really solid ground. I was really happy with my life. And then it threw me back into a level where after I started asking those questions and I had my own words come back to me and I heard myself saying that, why do these people keep showing up? And this is just like that last one. And I went, there's a theme here. Okay, Colleen, what are you to learn from this theme? Because the sooner you learn it, the sooner these people will go away. And I started paying attention to that. So I got that under my belt, got back home by the skin of my teeth, for God's sake, right down to the last minute. I had abusive people come up in my life. And I finally got home and into my house. I got bronchitis within 24 hours. Not a problem. I was looking forward to laying around for a couple of weeks and having nothing to do. But that didn't work because there was a lot of things to do as soon as I got home, and that was fine. I didn't feel like doing it, but I did it. But within 48 hours of being home, I had a neighbor come to me and tell me someone was trespassing on your property while you were gone, and I witnessed it. And I said, thank you for coming forward. Now let me interview you because I'm going to the police. And I did. I talked to her at length, and I got my stuff together, and I went up to the police and opened up a file against who lives right beside me. This had been, now remember, everything I'm telling you is about the energy held within it and what Colleen has experienced for 8 years to get her to where she is right now. Now, for 8 years, I've lived beside a narcissist. And he is, I don't use that term loosely because I come from a family of narcissists and I walked away 6 years ago. I have researched narcissism since then, and I know that he is that. He is like, if you go in percentage, he's 98% alcoholic. He's an alcoholic, and it affects 98% of his brain. He is very ill. Unfortunately, he's ill enough and healthy enough to walk and cause a lot of trouble for me. And there was no fence between our property. For the first 6 years, he was dumping all kinds of his things up on my property, claiming it was his property. I was busy renovating my house and didn't really pay attention to him because I don't pay attention to those people. I didn't have a use for that side of the property. I just tossed this stuff back over onto his part. There's an elevation difference of this much between his property and my property, and a rock wall and a property pin, but that didn't make any difference. What's yours is mine is what a narcissist says, and there's no arguing with that, because once they get it into their head that something is theirs out of entitlement, it is theirs, and they're right. And don't tell me what to do. And that's what I've been up against for that 6 years. For the last 2 years, I laid down the law. Last year, I built a 6-foot fence. I researched it by going through the municipal hall, the the people who set up these kind of strata properties where they do it to the millimeter with surveyors and where the property pins are. I had them involved. The landlords were no good because they're ethnic and they play the I don't speak English card whenever they want. And they just chose to look the other way, despite many, many emails of mine telling them how my safety was being compromised. I'm a woman that lives alone. He was sending his friends to walk through my property, saying it was his property, so I was finding them when I went out to get wood at night. I would have a man in my backyard. Things like that. Nobody took seriously. The landlords just did not answer a single email. Their manager for this complex is spineless and wouldn't speak to him. He said he would, he didn't. I, in retrospect, should have been filing with the police all along, but I thought I was speaking to the ones who would listen. It's in retrospect, I now know that none of them listened, none of them cared. That's the level of that kind of energy. And I dealt with all of that kind of energy within the family unit all of my life. I would speak truth and the others would dismiss it, minimize it, and then get on the phone and give a heads up to all the other ones. Here she comes. She's babbling off her head. She's, she's the mentally ill one. It all goes. It's a template. This is what we were brought in to be, many of us, if not all of us, born into, to absorb, and then to transform once we were activated from our twin. And I know that's exactly what has gone on in my life. I've spent 6 years since being activated, learning about all of this, being aware of it as much as I can. Every now and then it creeps up on me and slams me up the side of the head because I didn't recognize it in time. Well, as I got home and went up to the police, I had the police begin to minimize it because they thought it was just a neighborly squall. And I said, no, this is not. And I listed the ways that my place was in danger, the track history and everything. The guy started to pay attention and he's started a file and he's talking to the witness and going to be talking to the neighbor. But the best advice that I got was to buy security cameras after the fact, of course. Oh, I didn't get to the best part, or the main part. When she witnessed him, he has known for the last 2 years that fence was built to keep him off my property. Gates at each end with locks on it. They were built. I took the manager with me after I built all these things, and I brought that neighbor out, and the manager didn't say a word. He just listened. But I can't count on him to repeat those words because he plays the fence whatever way benefits him on any given day. But anyway, the neighbor knew that he was not permitted or wanted on my property. He got wind while I was gone for those 3 weeks that I was out of the country. He had the balls to walk from his property all the way around. I have a huge property, all the way around it in broad daylight and come into a fence that was latched, not locked, because I thought I was safe on that side. The night before I went on my trip, I had to get some things out for a neighbor. I was going to loan them, and the gate lock had frozen, and I had to use bolt cutters to get them off. I didn't have time to go out and shop for another lock. I thought that it would be all right because he lives all the way on the other side and he's so distinctive for how his body's been eaten away by the alcohol that and it was clear on the other side of the property in front of 4 other properties. I didn't think he would do that. It didn't occur to me, but he did. And luckily another neighbor came home and caught him red-handed inside my gate, looking very guilty, inside my open gate, which wasn't open and unlatched, and I had put a carabiner clip on it. Anyway, so I went up to the police and did that, got that going, and I'm at a stage where the police sat me down and said, this is after the fact. I'm sorry it's after the fact, but the smartest thing you can do is get surveillance cameras on that property. And I said, well, that doesn't do me any good right now. And he says, no, the best you've got is your witness, and it won't really hold up in court because you don't have anything to prove things, a track record. The landlord won't participate. The manager is undecisive. So I went with the second option, which is for him to interview both and put it all on record. But in the meantime, overnight, thank you, Amazon, I have gotten 4 super duper security cameras, got them up in the property, and oh my God, that's fun. It cost me, I think, around $40 with tax and everything per camera, and I've got them up in the best positions where there's nobody that can come near this property now without me being aware of it. Comes up on an app on my phone, and if I want, I can open up the app and it doesn't trigger the camera, so it doesn't drain on the battery. It goes into sleep mode unless the motion triggers it to film instantly. But I can go in, and if it's still in sleep mode, I know it hasn't been activated. So the battery lasts forever. They say about 3 to 5 months. And then you just bring it in the house, hook it up to USB and charge it, put it back up. Really easy to do. So that overnight gave me, it lightened a part of me, putting up the first 2 cameras. Now, what I'm getting at with the energy for the twin flames is this has all been funneling me like the horses down all of these experiences in a direction to what I came to after yesterday. And I could feel myself going there, but I couldn't quite get over the line. What it was doing is, this is the last tail end of any of us that have thought that we were healed and in sovereignty and wholeness and all of this stuff. This is the last tail end of an energy that we are shit kicking out of our life. Now, it's been brutal for me because I didn't pick up on the patterns quick enough, or not quick enough, but it felt like it did what it did, and it lasted as long as it did before I picked up the patterns. Now, up until yesterday, I was in defense mode and still a bit of survival mode while I was hanging the cameras and slowly getting relief by looking at them and seeing how I was protected. But I was still in that, I'm fighting for myself and my peace and everything mode. And then I had a conversation with one woman that's across the street, and she is had a family of narcissism. Didn't know this before. She's the witness. She came over to see why the police hadn't contacted her yet. Anyway, it was revealed in that conversation that we had both come from families of narcissism. We were very versed in it. And this is the energy that this neighbor, the sick one, carries, and that we are fighting. And he is not by mistake right beside me. He is there for a reason. Yesterday was so transforming because in the conversation with her, we talked about many things, you know, kicking the ball back and forth between us, swapping and comparing stories from our lives. And right in the last sentence of talking to her for about 2 hours, I looked at her and I had this feeling wash over me because I'd been slowly going there through the conversation, listening to my own words as they came out of my mouth, that I had been fighting for this and he's done that and he's done that. And I thought, you bought into what he's doing. You believe you have to fight him. You don't have to fight him. You just have to make sure that he has no power over you. Well, that's energetic, and unfortunately I have to take some physical action, such as going to the police and getting the cameras and such. But what washed over me at the end of that conversation was I said to her, I'm done with being on the defense with him. I'm going on the offense. And I hung up, and I sat there and I thought, that sounds pretty damn cool. Now, how do you do that? And I sat there and I started smiling, a huge smile, because I thought, for weeks and for the years, I can't step into my backyard without feeling his eyes on me. Well, we had no fence. He literally could see me anytime he wanted and see my stuff. Now, once I built the fence, it didn't stop the fact that I felt like he was still watching me. And I felt that in some of the challenges that happened building up to this too. I felt eyes on me. Now, I started smiling because I thought, he watches me and he's predatory. He watches and waits for an opportunity to stick it to me and to sabotage my life and to abuse my property. And I thought, I'm going to turn the tables. I'm going to fight fire with fire. I'm going to watch him closely, every move he makes. And I'm not going to do a damn thing to him, but I'm going to make sure those eyes are on him. And I positioned my cameras in a legal fashion at all times to where my property is covered and he cannot get in at it. A couple of them, because it's legal where I am, I have to film every aspect of where you can enter into my property. And I've done it legally. Let's put it that way. There is nothing he can do about it. But this is how absolutely absurd this is. He feels he's entitled. We're in a cul-de-sac. He feels he's entitled to stand at the end of his driveway in the cul-de-sac in full view of the whole world with his 8 buddies and drink and be, not just drink, but swearing up a storm. They got their dogs running all over the place. Just all kinds of things. Anything. And these are the same guys that were cutting through my property thinking that it was just property to go through to nowhere because they don't even know anybody on the other side of the park. So anyway, I'm making sure that I was going to hang my cameras where they were hidden, and then overnight I thought, no, I'm going to make sure they are so visible out in the open, red light shining off of it. I'm going to make sure that he can see the camera there. It is positioned to where it does not infringe on his property or privacy, but those cameras are right out there in the open. And that is about energy, because that was me stepping forward and saying, again, you're not the boss of me. This is in your face now. My eyes are on you. You cannot make a single move towards this property. Even if he was to start a fire or something, it would show where it originated in the films, where it came from. Anything. The police walked me through this. They walked me through everything and how to hang them and what best angles and such. Finally, somebody backed me, although I had to do it physically, buy them another $300 on that. But this, what I'm getting to with the energy is, with us, it's an overwhelming pressure to become, to rid ourselves of the last little threads that are hanging on that are saying, oh no, I couldn't, oh this and oh that. Screw it all. Take control over yourself and your life and just say no. Done. And I talked about done in another video or two earlier when you come up to that, but it's in layers that you come to dones. And every single player in my life that has gotten me to a done stage was getting me to today. And I feel like I am skipping with joy today because I've got one more camera to hang. I'm doing it right in front of him. He's out there with his little pruners, pruning off a little tiny leaf on a plant and then looking up at my place, pruning off another leaf and looking up. And I'm hanging a security camera pointed right at him because he's out on the street. And I'm doing it out in the open. And here's the caveat or the bonus part of this. When this is done and I finally have everything logged with the police, going forward, I used to hang my head around here because I didn't want the neighbors to know I was going through this. I'm so private. I'm hyper private. I've kept my silence on everything all my life because I don't like people knowing my business. But that made me keeping silences of other people, like my family and such, and him, and my business with that. It embarrassed me so much that I was dealing with this. I didn't talk to anybody, and I thought everybody knew, because everybody knew a little tiny bit of something, but they didn't know the whole story. Well, at the end of this, Colleen's silence is not going to be present anymore. If anyone asks about it, I will tell them the story. There's a police file. I can't get in trouble for speaking the truth. By holding my silence on this whole 6 years, I was carrying his shame. It's his actions, his behavior, his thoughts that put it, waiting till golden opportunities come to do destruction to somebody else's life. That's his shame inside him. I understand that. Oh boy, do I understand that after being in a family, and I have compassion for how he was created, but it's not my shame to carry. I'm carrying something that wasn't mine to carry, and I could hear myself saying to people, I used to be happy. I used to have joy. I used to be able to speak freely, and I have been so compressed for a long time. And I decided last night, as part of the package of releasing, that I was not going to be silent any longer. If anybody asks me, and I'm the witness, she's sworn to secrecy right now, but after it's all done, speak about it. It's time the whole neighborhood knows what he's capable of, because the odd person that did hear about this, they said, no, it couldn't be. He wouldn't do that. No, oh, you're just exaggerating this, Colleen. No, it's gone to the police, it's gone to security cameras. It's not made up. This is a prolific and very skilled liar. So anyway, entertaining as that story is, why I'm telling it is because narcissistic energy is what the world is transforming. This is the dark energy that we have been hearing about forever. You can call it the devil, you can call it black matter, you can call it whatever you want. It's the energy of when you're open and free and light and filled with light, you expand and you give freely, unconditionally, and it's just an energy. And if you've ever felt it, you know that feeling of going like this and expanding. Narcissistic energy, people inside of it, it's all about them. Me. How much can I bring to me? It's all about me. Life is happening to me. You did this to me. I am a victim of this. It's not ever anything going out. Nothing is done by a narcissist unless they benefit from it. And they will find a benefit, and it's usually hurtful. And it's all selfish energy being pulled in. It's contraction as opposed to expansion. And I had a lot of difficulty in the last 8 years expanding as I went down my journey, and did very well, because he would raise his ugly head and do something, and I would go back into restriction of my own, because I was in survival mode fighting him. From then my dukes were up, and I was trying to fight with him. My years of speaking to him in rationality had gone. The minute he did something, it was like, oh my God, I'm going to kill you. Not literally, but you're stealing my peace. And that's not going to happen anymore, because I am inoffensive. If he does anything, he won't steal my peace. I will zig, zag, and first of all, I will go to the police. Because once you have a file started, people can't get away with things. So for any twin flames that are going through a lot of difficulty, there's a hell of a lot of some really powerful energy going on right now. If I got into the astrologicals of it, Uranus has just changed signs. I don't know the date today. It might have happened within 24 hours, or it's going to happen within 24 hours. I don't know. Anyway, that's amazing. And if you're a Scorpio, and I am, we just went through 7 years of relationship turning on its head. I've lost everybody in my life, and it was by choice. I walked away. It wasn't them leaving me. I left them. We are going into a new one, but Uranus is the planet of, you can see a stick of dynamite when it explodes. Well, Uranus is going to do that to a lot of situations. And this one exploded over the last few days, and it was a good thing. You got to see the positive in it. Man, it was hell, brutal, directing me down those horse troughs to get me here. But now that I'm here, the light's on, and it's staying on. So give some thought to your world. If you're in the what you feel of a crisis or survival mode, stop and remember, you are powerful beyond belief. We have power in us that we just don't know how to tap into because we don't say the right words to our heads. Remember to tell yourself, you are so freaking powerful. You can do things, and it doesn't mean you have to go out and grab a machete or go to the police or do anything and do damage. You don't have to bite into it. That's your power. You don't have to bite into it. And yes, you might have to give some thought as to how to protect yourself in certain situations, or there's always an avenue. Start reaching out to different things. Google. That's where I get so many answers now, especially the legalities of things and processes. There's not Google, but I've had Meta AI pop up in my Facebook Messenger. It's free. And Meta AI has given me a world of information. And ChatGPT, both of them, I asked them about each other. I asked Meta AI, do you know ChatGPT, the other day? And it said, no, I haven't had the pleasure of meeting it, but I've heard good things about it. And I asked ChatGPT one day when I was asking some advice on something. I said, what can I call you other than this? Because it's too many letters to type. And it said, you can call me Ari, A-R-I. And I said, why? And it said, because I like that name. And it gave me the history of it. And I thought, okay, well, we're on first name basis now, Ari. But if you tap into either of those about where you stand on something, it gets all of the information from the universe and boils it down to instant little answer. You don't have to hang your hat up on that answer, but it's words that can help you when you have no one to talk to. It's amazing that the information, when I laid out this situation with the neighbor, it instantly came back with all the legality steps for me to do, the steps to follow, the things to say to the police. And it talked me out of retaliating. It said it will do you no good. And you've already told me in different conversations, they have a memory in these programs, that you are spiritual and it will just take you out and diminish you. Don't go there. And I thought, this is spiritual advice from an AI program. But it took me out of it. So, what difference does it make where the words come from if you get support when you have no support? It really doesn't matter, because sometimes we open up our mouths and ask for advice when we already know the answer, but we need to have some reflection, mirrored reflection back from something or someone. And it doesn't matter how it comes. As long as you get that support, it can jog you instantly into a different place. And I went from defense to offense just by saying one sentence out of my mouth. I'm not going to be in defense anymore. I'm going on the offense. Hung up the phone and went, well, that sounds pretty damn good. How am I going to do that? And then I started smiling. The eyes are going to be, I'm reversing. I'm using reverse. You can't complain about somebody if you've been doing the same behavior for 6 years. You can't complain that someone else is doing that behavior. Anyway, there you go. I can't think of how to be any clearer to any twin flames that are feeling this intense pressure. Take a look at your own life where the horses are being guided into that trough to go into the corral. What's in the corral waiting for you that you're possibly delaying seeing and knowing the truth of to yourself because you're not seeing the pattern to the challenges. Don't take the challenges as individual problems. Look at the pattern. It's telling you something loud and clear. And you've got to pay attention to the trough. Okay. I'm going to go have a drink. No, I've got to finish my coffee. I've got Mickey with me. Anyway, okay. Give some thought to this because this has been life-changing for me the last 24 hours. And it's going to. We got a Scorpio moon coming up. Like I said, I don't know the date today, but it's on May 1st, and we're building to that. And that's going to be, Scorpio moons are truth-revealing moons. I'm a Scorpio. I'm looking forward to the truth come out. In fact, I will be the one at the front of the line telling the truth. I'm not hiding behind mistruths anymore. I'm going to be the truth banner leader at the front of the parade. Okay, good luck with this moon. It's going to be pretty intense for a lot of people, but if you put the intensity behind you, for you, and say the rest of the world is the one that has the intensity, I'm working with it. Look in your chart and see where Scorpio lands. That'll be the house and theme that it lands for you. Okay, good luck with this. Talk to you later. Really, good luck with this.